Hello everyone, it's Shane here. I hope you can hear me.
You're fine.
Oh, great. Hey, just like to welcome everybody to the iMoot 2014 and to our first session. And let me start off just by just thanking a heap of people who've kind of kicked this off, actually, as in done all the work behind the scenes. And just thanks to Gareth, Vinny, Teresa, Wendy, who've been doing a whole lot of work, madly getting stuff ready and dealing with problems. Many thanks to Fred and his team from Blindside Networks too for supporting Big Blue Button. So great to see you in here too, Fred. Yeah, we're kicking off with two people who've been, I think you guys have been here since the very first iMoot, which is awesome. And I had the pleasure of meeting you in Berlin, didn't I, many years ago. So look, really thank you guys for joining us again, and we were excited when you said you'd join and you do the first session because we think it's actually a good one to kick off with. So I'd just like to welcome Stephan and Michael, and I'll hand over to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stuart.
Thank you.
And we would like to also thank everybody behind the scenes who's been setting this up. We know it's been probably a very complex undertaking, and we really especially appreciate all the effort that Wendy went through with us. So thanks very much.
Big hat tip also to the kudos of upgrading to Moodle 2.7 on the day that we'll start. So yes, excellent. Okay, great. Yes, a very big welcome from Michael and me. Before we start with the content, we thought it would be a good idea to to let you know what you're letting yourselves in for. We'll be doing a session on peer advice, which is a method that's been used, the way it's being used in Germany for a long time. It's quite a set format. I know it from my professional background. I've used it in our college, and we'll be doing that today to be on your case for Moodle dilemmas or issues that you may have. Before we do that, just so that you know who will be presenting today, that you feel in good hands and confident that you're safe and sound with us here, we'll quickly talk about ourselves so that you know what we're doing, where we're from, where we're coming from. So Michael, if you want to introduce yourself first, that would be great.
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Steph. My name is Michael Tighe. It's Tighe, but it's an Irish name, and so it's a little bit complicated, but it's just pronounced simply tie, like a necktie. I am a U.S. American by birth, U.S. American and Irish citizen who has been living in Germany, in Cologne, Germany, since 1984. So more in Germany than longer in Germany than I've ever lived anywhere else. So practically German too. My interest in Moodle goes hand in hand with my activities at mostly the University of Cologne, the University of Applied Sciences Cologne, where I teach master's level course in cross-cultural competence, cross-cultural management, and also at the University of Duisburg-Essen. But my main kind of activity is working in the corporate sector for large multinationals, helping people optimize their virtual leadership. So it's kind of I'm coming to you from a cross-cultural virtual leadership kind of perspective, and Moodle is one of many kind of virtual spaces that I work in. And I'm in this environment every day and really enjoy it, always full of surprises. And let me hand over the microphone now to Stephan, who will tell you a little bit about himself.
Okay, thank you. My name is Stephan Rinke, or Stephen Rinke, as I used to be called when I was still living in Britain. My wife has done what some people do with German cars to save money. She's re-imported her husband, so to speak. I started qualifying to be an English teacher in Germany, then went over to England, to the Midlands of England in 1997. for an 8-month stint as a language assistant there. And in 2004, at the end of 2004, I returned after those 8 months. Reason being, which is why I'm a monarchist now, obviously, the Queen had her golden jubilee in 2002, which is the reason why the school holidays were moved, and that meant I was able to go to a wedding. And at this wedding, I re-met my wife. We went to school together, but she was a year above me, so I was small fry then. During my time in England, I did my BA in English and Education Studies, then a master's degree in Special Applications of Linguistics, and then I didn't find any more excuses not to join the labour market and train to be a teacher. And I taught German and also a bit of English in English comprehensive schools. And when I went back to Germany, I taught at the University of Bochum for a bit, which is also my alma mater. Taught linguistics there. And they were using Blackboard, and to be able to get a Blackboard access, you had to go to a special room and talk to a person. And because I was teaching part-time, it was actually quite difficult to get an appointment. I instead set up my own Moodle, and this is when I got my first Moodle experience with Moodle 1.6, I believe. And then I moved to the Adult Education College in Essen, where I am now in the languages department. I'm looking after English courses, but also, as I said earlier, in the run-up to this session, Chinese and Japanese and Hungarian and Croatian and Turkish and lots of other languages, which I all speak fluently, obviously not. And because I was able to use Moodle and I wanted Moodle, I hassled people for about a year, and then we had our own Moodle, and that also meant that I had to look after it, which means that I can now call myself the e-learning coordinator at Essen Adult Education College. And in that role, I administer, I'm the admin for our Moodle. I do the teacher training, the helpline, everything having to do with using online media in teaching. I'm the go-to guy there. And because I don't have any children and not many hobbies apart from reading, I work on the side with my project EduMorph, as you can see at the bottom of the slide there. And in that capacity, I do all things having to do with cooperative learning, collaborative learning, using online environments for learning. And I also work for the German Moodle partner, Elidia, and do Moodle trainings there. And that's my background. And I think without further ado, we'll get into the session properly with some content. If you have any question in the meantime, always use the text chat. Whoever's not talking will be monitoring that, so that we can refer to all your questions, comments. So please make frequent use of that, and don't be shy. We have decided, because it could potentially become quite sensitive or personal, that we will not be releasing the recordings of the session on YouTube, so that will make people hopefully feel a bit more comfortable to be open. We thought that would be a good idea. Okay, so I'll pass you back. No, I won't pass you back to Michael. I will tell you what you will get out of this session, the what's in it for me slide, so to speak. The aim of this session is to get to work on real-life cases involving Moodle issues, but we don't want to look at Moodle issues from a technical perspective, because Moodle.org, the forums, do a great job there to help people out with technical issues. Michael and I always focus on the social issues, or personal, psychological, interpersonal issues having to do with Moodle. Either it's the use of Moodle, how to get people involved into Moodle, or it can have to do with institutional issues, as well. So anything having to do with Moodle that is not technical can be the focus of our session today. So we will work on real-life cases. We will be able to exchange experiences. We will be able to, benefit from this, huge amount of knowledge and resources and the different perspectives that everybody has just the fact that we are from different cultural backgrounds here will lead to different perspectives, so that's really great. And the fact that we are working in different kinds of institutions will really help there as well. So that's great. And before we actually get into the casework, Michael would introduce this method for peers to help themselves, because you don't need a real leader. You know, people can set this up in their own institutions to advance their knowledge for professional development. And the reason why we're doing it here is that it actually works really well in a virtual space. So I will hand you over to Michael now, who will introduce the method, how it works. He will talk you through it, and then we'll see what cases have been submitted. You will get a chance, if you've got something that you want to submit, you will have a chance to submit that now during the session as well. Then we'll make a decision which 2 cases we will look at today, and then we will be on your case, as the title says. So Michael, over to you.
Okay, thanks very much, Steph. So the method of peer advice it works best when we're very, very strict with this method. So I'd like to go over some of the steps that we go through typically in this method. And also, by the way, it also works great in a face-to-face environment as well, in a co-located environment. It's kind of coaching. We have a case presenter, and the rest are going to be the kind of coaches for this kind of dilemma or issue. The first step in a peer advice session is casting, which we're doing in the database that Stephan has set up, finding out what kind of cases are really out there in general, and just collecting some keywords on the different types of cases that are out there, and thinking about which ones are most appropriate, which ones are involving human interaction and human relations in a kind of in social systems. Not really, as mentioned before, not really technical issues. So we're really concentrating on that. What kind of human dilemmas do we face? So we have been doing the casting for a while. We've kind of thought about 2 good cases today, and we'd like to then go to those. The next step in the method is a kind of spontaneous report of the case. What is this case actually about? Where the case presenter very briefly outlines what their issue is. After the case presenter presents, that usually takes about 10 minutes or so. We then go to the peers or the coaches themselves and ask them if they have any questions, if they need any more clarification from the case presenter, perhaps a little bit more detailed, or perhaps some issue stands out in their minds where they really need a little bit more clarification in understanding the case. Following that, the case presenter asks the key question. The question is, the key question is, what do they really want to get out of this session? What kind of question do they need answered? And that's always one single question for the coaches, for the peers to focus on. The peers do not have the luxury of coming up with other questions that the case presenter should be thinking of, and so forth. It's really the case presenter is always in control of steering that kind of process and which exact question they would like to work on. After that, after the key question has been kind of visualized, usually in a face-to-face environment, we would write it down on a flip chart or make it visible. Here we'll use the text chat. After that key question has been asked, we then ask the case presenter to select a method, and I'll be showing you the different methods that we have available, or a selection of methods that we have available. Which coaching method does the case presenter want to use? And again, it's not the option of the peers or the coaches to select the method. It's the case presenter who's in control. Following that selection, the case presenter is then quiet. The case presenter concentrates only on listening to what the peers or the coaches have to say, what they can offer in relation to this key question. We can also document those impulses in the text chat. The main intention here in this peer advice session is to generate impulses, and it is not to create complete solutions to the dilemma that the case presenter has presented. It's really to, at this stage, increase complexity, to give the case presenter many more options to think about. Sometimes when we're faced with a dilemma, we tend to narrow our perspective and think like in a tunnel, like being in a tunnel. And it's very useful to get a lot of different impulses from a lot of different people, a lot of different perspectives. These impulses are ideas that the case presenter should take with them, sleep over it, and they have their effect, a delayed effect. Usually a couple days later, some ideas will synthesize based on these impulses. So it isn't this is what you should do kind of solution. It's really just impulses that work in a kind of delayed fashion. After this, the impulses have been collected, suggested. The case presenter then merely expresses very briefly their appreciation for the effort that the coaches or the peers have made in investing time and energy and their thoughts in their particular case or dilemma or issue. And that's the end of the process. Then we come out of the process and come back to a kind of normal conversations and normal interactions. We very explicitly leave the method then. The case presenter does not give feedback on the different ideas that were presented and does not evaluate them with the coaches. So that's basically an overview of the entire process. What we'll be doing now is taking a look at in action here what we'll be doing. We're going to ask our case presenter to present their case, 10 minutes. The peers will then be asking clarification questions. Common pitfall for that is that peers or coaches can hardly resist phrasing questions as kind of solutions. Have you thought about calling that person directly and so forth? That is not allowed here, so really only clarification questions. We'll be very strict about that because the method works best when we apply it in a very strict manner. And no own stories. Sometimes people start by asking a question and then they ramble on and on about their own experiences. After that, so after the clarification, then we'll go into what we can offer the case presenter in terms of their key question. That's the actual coaching phase. Takes usually about 20 minutes or so. Again, the case owner listens, is not allowed to speak, and the peers stick to the question, the focus on the key question that the presenter has presented. After that, again, the case presenter thanks everybody, just very briefly talks about some of the impulses that they're going to take away, but does not go into any detail. So just a sign of recognition. Okay, sounds a little complex. Don't worry, we'll be guiding you through the entire process and looking for those common pitfalls, common mistakes, and trying to keep you on track in this method. In terms of the methods within the peer advice method, we've got brainstorming. I think all of you are familiar with brainstorming. My assumption is that you've all probably done it and know that brainstorming is really just generating impulses, no discussions, no evaluations of the ideas and so forth, and collecting those. That is one method. Maybe a less familiar method for you is upside-down brainstorming, sometimes called paradoxical brainstorming, where we, from the case description, we try to imagine how the case presenter could drive this dilemma or this problematic situation, really to drive it to complete and utter failure. So really turning things upside down and imagining what steps they could take to drive things in exactly the wrong direction. And in doing so, we generate some impulses or some ideas that the case presenter can then flip around and think about what are the positives from these negatives. It can be quite interesting if we start off with a brainstorming and you run out of ideas, to flip the situation around and look at the other perspective and then flip that around. Many times generates unusual ideas. Sometimes we're in dilemmas where we don't know what the next step could be, where we feel a little overwhelmed, and then the first little step you could take method is the one to use here. The peers offer just a couple measures, a couple little steps, and here the keyword is little steps that the case presenter could take to move in the right direction. Another method is two pieces of information. That is, sometimes when we present our case, people hear different things that they think are important. They pick those out of our description, and this is a way of just refocusing maybe emphasis in the case. What is really important about the case? So what two pieces of information seem particularly important to the coaches? Good advice. I think we're all familiar with good advice. That's pretty straightforward. If I were you, I would, and so forth. Pretty commonplace method. Similar experiences, talking about experiences that maybe fellow coaches or fellow peers have experienced, giving the case presenter some insight, giving them also the support, and then they feel that they're not alone in their dilemma. And interesting to find out how other people have resolved perhaps a similar dilemma. Another method is the association. So a list of associations, what kind of feelings, images, thoughts, spontaneous, that doesn't have to be a logical connection with the case. Maybe some metaphors, working with just what images come to mind when listening to the case, maybe when hearing the tone of voice, the way the person describes the case, and so forth. So just describing what associations come to mind. And those impulses also many times have a profound effect on the case presenter, as I mentioned before, in a delayed way. Sometimes case presenters present their case and they're maybe concentrate on what they think is the central question, yet the peers see a completely different question. And then this method is very useful, and they bring up what other key question, where a blind spot might be in the case from the case presenter's perspective. So those are a variety of different methods. I would encourage you to maybe leave your comfort zone a little bit, try perhaps something new if appropriate. But again, it's up to the case presenter to actually decide which method they want applied to their case. So that's a lot of talking time from my side. Let's move on to our actual case and case presenter.
We found several suggestions in the database, and also via email when the database wasn't working. Thanks, by the way, to Shane, who's just fixed the database. So if people want to submit more cases, it works with the database. In the meantime, we had a forum up and running so people could enter things, and I think we found two cases which are, just fitting the criteria probably the best, because they involve people and Moodle rather than a technical issue with Moodle. The first one, and I already talked to Mary about that. Mary was very, very kind enough to offer her case. But before we make a decision whether those two will be there, have a quick think whether there's something that is really, a burning issue for you at the moment, having to do with people and the use of Moodle, and whether you want to present a case too. So we'll just give you a tiny bit of thinking time, and if you want to present a case, just start typing in the chat window, and we'll have some more. For all the others, if you open a second tab, so don't leave this room. So you can do that normally by pressing Control and T at the same time. And then you go into our session space, you will find the database there, and you will also find the forums, so you can have a quick browse what already has been offered. I'll just shut up for a minute so we've got some thinking quiet time. Oh, thanks, Gareth. I was just gonna copy that and paste it. That's brilliant.
Steph, this is Michael speaking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Steph, this is Michael speaking. I'm just wondering if we should shut off the webcams.
That's probably a good idea. Yeah, we'll save bandwidth and just close those. So I'll see you later. We'll just clear my throat occasionally so you know that we're still online. At the moment, people are thinking whether they want to present a case. I'll just give you a couple more seconds, so shout if you want to. Probably means that everybody who would be willing to present a case has already somehow let us know that fact. So perhaps we'll start with Mary, Michael. Do you want to take over and lead us through the process? Just see, is Mary still there? I'm just seeing the participants list. Yes, okay, that's good news. Cool. Okay, Michael, here we go.
Okay. Yeah, Steph mentioned before that that this will not be appearing on the on YouTube in recorded form, and I would just ask all of you, to appreciate Mary being so open to be willing to present her case here, and that of course in a session like this, confidentiality is expected. So I think that probably goes without saying, but I just want to explicitly mention that. Let's go back to the peer advice
Okay, well, can you hear me, or is it just Michael? Just if somebody types into the chat. Okay. Okay, that's fine. In that case, I will try and take over while Michael sorts the audio out. Perhaps you can just re-log in and that will work then. Okay. So just to go back to what we'll do now, Mary has issued a case. I will perhaps ask Mary to switch on her microphone and tell us what her case is. And the important thing is that we listen at the moment. Perhaps don't comment already in the chat because that will influence Mary already. So the idea is now to listen because we'll have in the next phase enough time to ask our questions there. But if we ask questions beforehand in the chat, that will already change the direction, and Mary will present a different case than from possibly the case that she would want to present. So Mary, if you want, I will switch your microphone on. Your microphone is on, that's perfect, and then I'll hand it over to you. Thanks again for doing this. Mary, if you're there, can you let us know? No, we can't hear you at the moment. Yeah.
Hi, this is Fred. It might just be that Mary's microphone is just not currently the default one. Yeah, take your mic off, Mary, and just do the audio test microphone button, and just make sure you have some activity on your microphone.
So taking the audio off works with the top left button, isn't it, next to the webcam symbol? Am I right, Fred?
That's right. And you can also just call into the session. That's a North American number. Do you know where Mary is located?
In the UK.
Okay.
This gives everybody else some more time to think of cases they may want to say. You
are now unmuted. Can you hear me?
Wonderful.
Wonderful. You can hear me? Okay.
We've got an echo then, so perhaps headphones so that we don't get speakers to the microphone.
Okay, right. I've got combined headphones and speakers, so I need to find the plug which is just for the headphones but not for the speakers. So just give me 30 seconds.
Okay. No worries.
No worries. Is that any better?
Marvelous.
Okay. Okay then. I'll start talking. I wasn't expecting. It says here approximately 10 minutes. I'm not sure it's going to take 10 minutes. I wasn't expecting to speak. It'll take as long as it takes, which might be less than 10 minutes. It is a specific issue in relating to me and people that I know. However, it is kind of a common issue also. It's one of the negatives, I think, that people sometimes see in Moodle when considering going for Moodle. So my specific issue might also have a wider consequence and connection also. Up until last year, I worked in a high school, which had Moodle since 2006. And my role developed into becoming the trainer of the teachers, which I enjoyed. And Moodle had been set up by one of the assistant head teachers, who was who loved Moodle, was a very big Moodle champion, that's the key word, and who encouraged me, got me into my training role, and encouraged the staff to use Moodle in different ways and to persevere with it. And last year, for various political reasons, the county no longer provided Moodle, so the school themselves went over to hosting Moodle themselves, which wasn't without difficulties because unfortunately the network manager only understands Windows, so it's currently 2.5 on Windows, which is quite slow. It's okay, it works, but it isn't as fast as it could be. And people are kind of going towards other options for adding their files. The network manager has made a great success of giving everyone remote access and files on the network drive within school, and teachers are finding that is much easier than logging into Moodle, which might be a bit slow, putting their files there. Now, even though I left, the assistant head teacher was encouraging me to go back and support them, and I was expecting again to help train new teachers. But he died 4 weeks ago, unexpectedly, and the school has been left without a Moodle champion, without anyone currently enthusiastic to continue promoting Moodle. Now, although this does sometimes happen that the main Moodle protagonist leaves, ideally, if you get another role before you leave, you're supposed to go and train someone else and pass your knowledge on to them so that life can go on and you can continue. But this was completely unexpected. And because it's happened at the same time as teachers becoming a little bit disillusioned with the slowness of Moodle and becoming much more aware of what they can do on their iPads and with their Google Docs, I am fearful that all of the hard work that we two have together done with Moodle is just going to fade away. And I'm still in touch with the school. I can get in touch with the headmaster. I can raise the issues. But basically, I'm looking for ways to ensure that my work and his work can go on. And that certainly, if possible, I can have some kind of a voluntary role in ensuring that it does. Because I think it would be very sad if the teachers just miss out on some of the more interactive elements of Moodle, simply because there are other quicker ways of doing it. One final thing that I would say, for instance, I went in to help in a class on Monday, and the teacher had put the work for the pupils on an interactive whiteboard. They have them in every classroom in the school. And he'd just done a Google Doc, and he presented it on a Google Doc. Because he said, oh, it's too much effort to put it on Moodle. You know, I've got to log in, it's a bit slow, I've got to type it in. Just type it into Google and share it. It's much easier. So although there was a tiny battle while the assistant head teacher was there, there isn't anyone, I think, who would be prepared to fight it now that he's gone. So my case is, how can I help to ensure Moodle goes on? That's not 10 minutes, but that's all I have to say.
Okay, thanks very much, Mary. That's fine. It doesn't have to be 10 minutes. I would just like to, have you write down in the text chat so we have a definite record of what is your central question to the peers. How would you succinctly phrase what your expectation is from the peer advice? Can you hear me? This is Michael speaking. Okay, good. Thank you. I just wasn't sure. Thank you. Thanks for the feedback. Okay, so Mary's question is, how can I ensure Moodle continues to flourish in a school where the main champion departed without providing backup support, where teachers were beginning to explore other easier routes? Okay, we're going to move on now to step 2, to the peers, coaches, fellow coaches, what questions do you need answered to improve your understanding of this case. And again, please no hidden suggestions, no own stories. You can either type your question, I would say, in the text chat is probably the easiest way, but of course we can also grant you unmute your microphone. If you would like to speak, please raise your hand.
Am I supposed to answer the questions or wait a little bit?
Yeah, I think we can probably start answering the questions as they, I'm sure they'll be piling up here, but I think we can get started on answering.
Okay, I'll go through shall I go through the questions in the text then, one at a time?
I would suggest, yeah.
Right. Can the Moodle community provide virtual mentorship to the school? Well, I can do that. Why does she want it to continue to flourish when there is no demand? Well, there is a demand. It is used. I suppose it's kind of got stable and stale in a way, and it would be nice to reinvigorate it. Were people happy with Moodle? They used it, however, in terms of ease of putting up stuff, you know, at the very, very basic level, they were tending to go in other ways. Is Moodle really a better solution for the teacher? Well, again, it may well be that, you know, they decide they don't want all the interactive stuff. They just want to put on their PowerPoints and put them on the network drive. I would like to convince them otherwise. I think you need a member of SLT to still be supportive. Correct. I would like to go in and speak to the head teacher and speak to the member of SLT. However, I have an idea that the person who is looking after Moodle until they get themselves sorted is a big fan of Google Sites because it's quicker and easier, really. Teresa, yes. The main use of Moodle up until now, it is the website. All of the news goes on. And so Moodle couldn't really die because it's used every single day for putting up school events. That will continue. I'm currently looking after that until the lady who does that carry on. That will have to continue, so Moodle can't go. In terms of the teaching, its main use is for resources, videos and lesson resources. There's the odd quiz here or there, I think. And also for every year when students decide which subjects they're going to take when they're 15 and 16 for their exams. All of that is done online. Information for parents and so on. Yeah, I know, Tim. I know. I'm glad that I'm on the other side, actually, rather than on your side. Putting up content versus interactive solutions. SLT stands for Senior Leadership Team, which is the head teacher and the deputy head teacher, so the managers of the school, really. Oh, it's been answered under me. Thank you. No, there isn't student work being shared on Google Docs. No, there isn't. And in fact, some teachers use the assignments. Some teachers are still unhappily having work emailed into them. And one of the things that I was going to be doing, collaborating with the assistant head teacher, was again going in and doing some sessions where teachers, to encourage teachers to go beyond that a little bit. I would like to continue doing that. However, it's a question of, can I convince the school this is a good idea? I think some teachers have come to the school not using Moodle and have already been using Google Docs. No, it's not integrated into Moodle because I think the network manager tried to figure out Google integration but didn't manage it in the end. The students are fine. In fact, I've actually got a group myself, and we are going to. They've learned how to create courses in Moodle, and we're going to develop some resources for a particular subject in ICT over the next few weeks. But that's just me and my little group of students, really. 2.5. Now you see, that's another thing. The Moodle 2.5, the assistant head teacher, his kind of one of his roles was to gently remind the network manager of the time to upgrade, and he was going to do that over Easter, but there's no one there to tell him now. The uses of Moodle that have been most successful have been in the pastoral side. You could even argue that it's in ways that Mahara or a simple website or a WordPress could do. It has been for promoting student achievement. Interactive Moodle activities, questionnaire. Every single subject uses a questionnaire regularly to find out how the pupils feel they are doing, and so on and so forth. And there are some good use of quizzes here and there also, I think. But again, you see, I mean, although we have the questionnaire module, a couple of teachers have decided to use Google surveys because they're quicker and you can make them look prettier. Students can be champions, and when I was there, we did have some student champions who helped some of the teachers, that's right. There isn't a Google Docs champion, no, because I don't think there's a teacher who would want to use the time to do that, no.
Okay, any other questions for clarification? I see here the typical suggestions and questions arising. Any other questions that you need, coaches, for clarification? Okay, there's the Mary. What you mentioned ensuring your work would not go to waste. What do you see as your work?
I see as my work getting teachers to actually get rid of printing everything off on paper, and in fact there are still some departments who do that. I'm afraid they're going to go back to paper rather than sharing things in Moodle. My school is about 900 pupils, I think, 11 to 16. Teresa, yes, and your comment about in terms of staff digital literacy, etc. Yes.
I have to be very strict with you here.
Yeah, that's one of those pitfalls, isn't it, Michael? Yes, that's right.
I have to remind you, we're in this method. In this method, there are no compromises. So we're really in the phase number 2. We're asking clarification questions. Remember, peer advice is not a normal conversation, not a normal chat. It's a method that is very different from just normal conversation. So please do ask clarification questions.
There's no enrollment into Google Tools. There are just a few teachers who put work on a Google Doc and share it with the class instead of, putting resources into Moodle, basically.
That's fine, Teresa. You're providing a good example for all of us. So, it's a good excuse where I can point that out. That is a very strict method. So no worries, Teresa.
Andrew, I don't know what one-to-one means. Does it mean does every child have a laptop or something? No, they don't. The school doesn't provide them with one, no. Actually, there is another thing, which is that Moodle's gradebook is not very popular, and it's one of the things that has put quite a few teachers off. And there are other places that do that better. There's something on iPads called Dokio, I think, that quite a lot of the teachers like. I don't know if anyone's heard of that. A couple tried or explored Edmodo because that is very, very light, Lite, particularly with the gradebook. But I was hoping that we could somehow get Moodle's gradebook to be all nice and simple gradebook light, and that might encourage them. I don't have an iPad. I'm the only person in the world who does not have an iPad. And in fact, the month that I left the school, all the teachers were issued with iPads and they all loved them, you see. So I can't tell you any more about it than that.
Okay, I'm interpreting your silence here, or the slowing down of the questions in the text chat, to mean that you've been you're clear enough on the issue. I'll just ask Stephan to scan through the chat and please copy paste Mary's central question again here while I continue with the methods with Mary. So Stephan, if you could do that, find Mary's original question and then I'll go on.
Will do.
So Mary, I'm going to ask you now about which method you would like to use with your peers here. And
so I read through these again and choose one.
Yes, you select the method that you think best applies to your question, your situation. And
only one method?
Yes, we'll start off with one method, just to practice it. In some cases, when teaching people how to use the peer advice method, if we have time, we can explore another method as well. But usually, we just stick with one.
Okay, how about, well, I would like to try upside down brainstorming, but if I'm only allowed one, then I would like to be practical and do something practical. So could we try the first little step you could take?
Okay, the first little step you could take. So the question to all of you, to all of the peers, to all of the advisors, the coaches. We see here Mary's question: how can I ensure Moodle continues to flourish in a school where the main champion departed without providing backup support, and where teachers were beginning to explore other easier routes? What is the first little step? And again, the key word is the first little step. It does not have to be a complete solution, but what is the first little step Mary could take? What could be her next step? And I invite you to add your suggestions to the text chat. And Mary will just listen or just watch the text chat as the suggestions come up. First little step.
Okay. Any more suggestions? You can also, if you want to talk, just switch on your microphone and talk to us. It's a very, very silent session otherwise, and Michael and I are weary of, just our voice being heard too much.
Am I supposed to comment on some of these, or am I just listening and watching?
You're just listening and watching?
Okay. All right.
I know it's hard, having been a teacher.
Okay, and I'd like to remind the coaches that really it's just what's the first little step Mary could take? First little step. So please no questions, no other, it's the first little step.
As I've said, if you want to talk, just switch your microphone on and tell us your suggestion. You don't have to type. It's showing now.
So what is the first little step in ensuring that Moodle continues to flourish in the school?
I want to add to Gareth's suggestion. If you identify the weak setting point, let everybody know. Not just your school.
I know I'm not supposed to be commenting, but I don't know what a dog and pony show is, by the way.
Okay, then you're allowed to have a clarification question.
So Meredith, if you want, switch your microphone on and tell us what a dog and pony show is. Oh, a demonstration. I prefer dog and pony show now. I learned so much from behind this. Okay. Something else? Next steps?
Next little step.
First little thing that Mary could do to make the situation better. Also reminds me a little of solutions-based counselling in a way, where you just sort of look at, what little thing will make it better, rather than just having to resolve the whole thing.
I see here the focus is on staff. I'm wondering about the students.
True, yeah.
Okay, Gareth is suggesting a rather large step. Okay, I assume from the speed at which suggestions are coming up here that we're getting to our limits. Mary, shall we do a very quick upside down brainstorming?
Yes. Yes, that would be good. Yes, please.
Okay, just to see, for you to get some insight as to how the differences in the impulses here that are generated by upside down brainstorming. If we, coaches, again, our focus is now switching, so I'm very explicitly drawing the line between what we just had previously been working on, which is the next little step she could take. Again, if I scroll through the chat back to the core question,
I have.
if you've got it again, Steph, just paste it in there.
I think it's probably still in. There we go. It was still in there.
Okay. I'd like to just do a very brief, let's say a 5-minute upside down brainstorming. So how can Mary ensure that Moodle stops and dies immediately in the school where the main champion has departed?
make it worse?
How could she make it a completely hopeless situation in that school for Moodle?
To rephrase Gareth's point, so you would have to make sure that there's not a single person in your senior leadership team that will even talk to you about Moodle. Some suggestions coming in how Mary could make the situation even worse.
Much worse.
Much worse, exactly.
How could she make sure that all her work was for nothing and that all her work was immediately destroyed and just totally gone forever? And
Andrew, that's brilliant.
okay, our 5 minutes is running out. Any last ideas on how she could completely destroy her
Richard, I like. Joshua, the network manager doesn't have any classes.
Okay, let's bring this mini upside down brainstorming section to a close here. I've drawn the line. We're now moving to the phase number 4 here. Mary, just very briefly, what are you going to take away, and a couple words of appreciation to your coaches, coaches and the advisors here.
Yes, thank you very much for broadening my outlook on it, really. What I'm going to take away is, first of all, that a comment that was way high up here, scrolling back up, about the senior leadership team need to be convinced that Moodle is worth persevering with. And I mean, they are positive about it. The head teacher was backing the assistant head all the way. So I need to ensure that that push that was being given by the assistant head who's departed is continuing. So what I will do is go in and speak to him or speak to whoever is going to have that sort of role. And the second thing I need to do is to let go of being so proprietorial about it. You know, I don't work there anymore, even though I did spend 28 years and I'm in there every week and I care about it, you know, and I offered them, you know, lifelong support because that's the way I am. I should personally let go, and if they decide, well, yeah, you know, we aren't going to make the most of it, then that's their choice. but not without me trying first of all, you know. Threaten a visit by Mr. Gove. Yeah, I think that will encourage everyone to use Moodle as of tomorrow. Mr. Gove, if other people don't know, he's the education minister in the UK, and everybody hates him. Of all different parties, everybody hates him.
Okay, we're kind of leaving the method here. We're going into a normal conversation again, which is typical of the first time we use this method. That's why I'm trying to pull you back on track. Mary, could you thank your coaches?
Yes, I do thank you very much for letting me, you know, raise this and get some ideas and some thoughts. And I think what Michael said at the beginning, that this will percolate in my mind for a few days, you know, and I'll be thinking about this, is definitely very, very true. So thank you all yet again. It's much appreciated.
Yes, and I'd like to thank you, Mary, for being so open and willing to present your case here as the first ever iMoot peer advice session. So that's really great. Champion in peer advice in Moodle. Again, I urge you to save the text chat, maybe even print it out on paper and post it on your refrigerator. Remember, these things, some of the suggestions here, they work in sneaky ways. They will affect the way you think about this situation over time. So give that a try. I think you might be surprised in a few days how this process kind of works in sometimes very unpredictable ways.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'll copy it and pin it up next to the drinks cabinet. Actually, I'll use that more than the fridge. But yes.
Just make sure you know which one was the upside down brainstorming and which one was the first one that you should take. That's always the danger.
Okay, I think we have time for one more case. Since I will ask you, because perhaps Maureen hasn't seen me asking her in a private little chat, but she mentioned it already while she was coaching Mary. First of all, I quickly tell Maureen how you save the chat. You can right-click into the chat area, and then it should be copy all text, and then you can paste it into a Word document, into a text editor, wherever you can do that. And while I have your attention, Maureen, you also suggested a case in the forums. Would you be willing to talk about that? Because you already said that you have a problem with your institution switching off lots of functions and plugins and things. That's perfect. Excellent, Maureen. I'll hand you over to the experienced hands of Michael. Can you switch on your microphone so that we can hear you? Nobody knows. We're all friends. We're all Moodlers. We're all nice. And everybody will agree. Everybody's ever been to a Moodle Moot, not necessarily an iMoot, but even the iMoot. It is always such a nice atmosphere. What really surprises me is how well this translates into this, you know, online conference. And there's always this very, very brilliant Moodle spirit about. Okay, Maureen, let's see if we can hear you.
Hi, I'm sorry if I don't actually have a headset, so I'm hoping there's not too much background noise for everyone.
Sounds excellent.
Seems fine, yeah?
Yeah?
Brilliant.
Sounds excellent, yeah.
Okay, do you want to start by just presenting your case to the others?
I should have written it down, shouldn't I?
Oh, not necessarily. The spontaneous report is much more interesting.
Okay, so I'm working in a tertiary institution, and I'm one of the few people in my department really that is quite interested in Moodle. So I suppose I'm in a way the champion. We have been using Moodle as an institution for quite a few years now, and we have a reasonable amount of tech support. We upgraded to 2.5 over Christmas, and I was really excited about the prospect of using badges amongst other things, because I'd been introduced to them at iMoot last year and then at the Moodle MOOC. and found them really exciting possibilities there in terms of motivating not only our students, but mainly looking at motivating our team, because I wanted to find ways to actually get them on board. And for some of them, badges was going to be it. I could tell when I talked to them about it. However, as soon as Moodle 2.5 was enabled, I tried to set up badges, wasn't able to, went to our IT people and they said, no, until we have an institute-wide policy on the use of badges, we're not going to enable that. We have several other things that have been disabled as well, but this is the main thing I want to focus on. I found that incredibly frustrating because there I was ready to go. Our institution, like I think a lot of tertiary institutions, is being hit by financial problems, and there's a lot of demand for staff to find innovative ways forward, to do a lot more online work with students. Ours is actually very mixed. We do probably 50–60% of our work face-to-face with students, and the rest is done online or in independent study. To date, 6 months later, there's still absolutely no word on when the decision is going to be made about having badges made available. And I'm just finding it incredibly frustrating. We've also heard through the grapevine, nothing in writing, that it's very unlikely that there will be badges available to us as an individual department, that they will be institution-wide, and that it's almost certain that we will not be allowed to use them for motivational purposes. So it could be that this wonderful tool is something that I'll never get to use. That's kind of my case.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Could I ask you to formulate your kind of key question in the text chat? And for the peers, of course, what questions do you have? What kind of clarification do you need? And we can offer here a blend of ways of asking the questions. You can either activate your microphone or provide your...
How's that? Does that kind of encapsulate the case?
Want to be able to use Moodle badges in the motivational tool institution, but the powers that be have decided to disable this function. It's unlikely. Okay, that is the situation.
Okay.
What do you want to achieve with this session? What question do you have that you think your peers can help you with? What is your question? If you can, is it a question of influencing upwards? Is it a I don't want to influence your question by making suggestions. So how can I convince the powers that be to let me be able to use Moodle badges as a motivational tool?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll move on to the clarification questions. Yeah, okay, good. Richard has a question.
And as before, Maureen, you can just
answer them as they come up?
as they're coming in. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know the reasons, Richard, why they have disallowed it. I suspect it's about control and perhaps about being a bit nervous about what it means. But we certainly haven't been told why. Good question, Teresa. I have absolutely no idea. There's a number of different people that we talk to. It would appear that there is a small group of deans who are making the decision about Moodle. I already do sticky stars, Gareth. And yes, my students love them, but it doesn't seem to work as well for the lecturers. No, Anne, I don't. The people who usually make the changes and the upgrades and do the actual work on Moodle basically told me, no, you have to wait until they've made a decision. There doesn't seem to be a process anywhere that I can find in terms of a written process, Teresa. Is that what you're talking about? Oh. Sorry, background noise. That was my phone.
It's the powers that be calling you.
Yeah, it was work actually, but I don't think it was the dean. The policies are decided at a really high level and quite often by people who aren't actually using this. I very much doubt that any of the people who made this decision have used Moodle or even have used badges or have any experience. No, there is not an institution-wide policy, Teresa, for formative assessment methods, etc. Absolutely not. Good point. Yes, Tim, there are quite strict rules. We're covered by a qualifications authority to which we have to send outlines of courses, learning outcomes, etc. But they don't approve our individual assessment tasks, although they're moderated by people in other institutions. I think it is both a fear and a lack of understanding decision, Joshua. Send me a private message, Tim. I'm happy to hear how miserable other people are.
We appreciate your restraint.
I don't know, Garrett. As far as I know, no, the people don't know what they're talking about. Sorry, I'll turn my phone right off. I've only had it on because I was actually watching Twitter on the other feed. Between me and the powers that be, probably at least 5 or 6 tiers, unfortunately. So they're a long way off. Have I given them a badge? I'd love to. There are ways for me to work around that. I've already created some badges, not official, like not open badges that they could put in their backpack or anything, but I have actually just made some pictures of badges that I have sent to staff members, and actually I've had some really positive feedback. It's not the same though. I want to be able to use it really easily on Moodle. I don't know what information they've been given about badges because I don't know who's making the decision. Tim, I think that is probably the problem, is that they want to work out some sort of clarity, but I'm actually, although I could see in the future some really positive things about maybe sections of courses being used to put together with a whole lot of badges to make a certificate or a course. At the moment, all I really want is the motivational type. And I'm sure that they don't actually want the name of the university on that. I'm also sure there's a way around that. Gareth, I found out because I kept hassling the IT department about why this wasn't working, and finally someone did say to me, the decision hasn't been made yet, we'll let you know when it is. I don't know, Richard. I'm assuming there's a way to make more informal badges. If anyone out there in Moodle land can help with that, that would be good. Yes, Anne, I do have an email address actually for one of the people. I was given that actually just a few days ago by someone who told me not to tell anyone where I got the address from.
This is Michael. I'm going to intervene here. I noticed we're getting sloppy. Thank you, Tim, for resisting for so long. And I do see a couple suggestions in these questions here. I would like to remind you that to really get full advantage out of this method, to stick to the method, we're only in clarification questions now. All these other discussions can take place outside of the method, and I encourage you to do that and invite you to do that. We can leave the session open after we're done here with the peer advice, but let's stick to the method just for now. It really does, believe me, it really does work much better if we stick to the method. So let me just give you a couple more minutes to yes, Mary, good idea. We'll use the chat here and get people to evaluate which questions are real questions and which ones are suggestions. Great. Okay, so back to the method. I'll give you another minute or so for clarification questions, and then we'll move on. Any other questions here? Okay.
Aaron, perhaps it would be the time now to choose the method that Maureen would like to employ.
Yes.
Just get this slide up so Maureen can see which methods we have on offer in our little suitcase of methods here. So there's the brainstorming, upside down brainstorming, first little step, 2 pieces of information, good advice, similar experiences. For example, Tim has already started that one. Description of thoughts, feelings and images, or other key question, or otherwise can this be looked at. Maureen, have you got a choice for a first method you want to do? Maybe you then have still time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like to try the upside down brainstorming.
Okay. So again, the idea for you now is to either write in the text chat or just grab the microphone and talk to us. Any ideas that you could have for making this situation even worse, or possibly to make sure that she will never, ever, ever have badges in her situation. I will quickly copy the question that Maureen had.
It's good to visualize it.
It's jumping. Hang on, I'll do it in 2 steps and that will work. There we go. So I've got that in there.
So then the question would be, how can I convince the powers that be not to let me use Moodle badges? Here it's not how to do it, but it's how I can not do it.
I think these suggestions more like how to get Maureen fired. Yes, Joshua. Being fired is not something we joke about at the moment, Mary.
Oh dear, oh dear. How can Maureen make sure that her institution will never, ever, ever have badges?
Okay. Okay. Can I just interrupt here? This is Michael. Just due to time constraints here, Shane would like to formally wrap up this. We will stay online and just continue with this. I just don't want to cause delays. I know Shane's got a lot going on here, so I don't want to interrupt his plans here.
Yeah, thanks, Michael and Stephan.
Sure.
I just want to formally thank you guys for presenting today. And yeah, it's been awesome. I've actually been watching it and listening, and thank you for your questions and so on. And yeah, you're most welcome to keep the conversation going. As I said, I just want to formally wrap it up. The next sessions are due to start in the next few minutes. But if you want to keep the conversation going here, that's absolutely fine. So thank you once again.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity.
As Shani said, if you want to give Maureen more suggestions how she can make it even worse, feel free.
Okay.
Thank you,
I
guys.
see, Maureen, that
This has actually been quite interesting because some of the ideas that people have mentioned in there that would make it worse were things I kind of thought about doing and decided not to. So it's quite good to see some reinforcement that those would not have been good ideas.
Yeah.
give them a couple of days, flip it around, and you'll be surprised. Right, we're going to wrap this up. Maureen, could you just thank your peers for their input and just a quick general impression, and then we'll wrap up I think we'll wrap up the session then.
Thank you, everyone. It's been really great. I'm absolutely going to stop publicly complaining about badges and the lack thereof. And I think, well, the one thing I'll take away at the moment anyway is that I'm going to definitely do some more research so I can take some good facts and figures with me when I do send the email to that secret email I've discovered. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Maureen, for being so open about this issue with all of us.
Thank you. That's great, Maureen. And also thanks, Mary. Thanks to everybody who's contributed. That's been really great because I learned a lot too. Because so many issues are similar. And as you may have just realized on the slide, it's your German learning session today. The German word for feedback is really easy. It's feedback. And the German word for questions is Fragen. And the German word for and is So feedback and Fragen. Is there any feedback you want to give us? Things you want to tell us? And are there any questions you still have? Thanks, Tim, for providing the link there. That's brilliant. And beer bitter, yeah, perfect.
Yes, and just as a reminder, we're having another session, another live session with real live cases.
Friday afternoon, European time.
Yeah, sorry about the hard rules, Tim. And we look forward to next year, maybe having you all conduct a session, and we can maybe do a kind of meta level peer advice session. It would be
interesting to have a look at how one could use this method in an asynchronous environment like Moodle, for example. So that could be an interesting thing to look at as well. Yeah, and as I said at the start, we've used that peer advice at our college. So it works. It works, but you need to make sure that there's one person really taking charge of the process, like Michael has done today, and I thank him so much for that.
Thank you.
To make sure that the method is being applied more strictly, because you do actually get more out of it. I've been in peer advice sessions where the method wasn't applied strictly and it went really chaotic. Didn't actually lead to as many good ideas and as much help as the other ones. But it is hard, and I find it very hard because quite extroverted, and always, quite often I only know what I think when I hear what I've said. Yeah, this method makes me reflect a little bit more, which is great for me. I love all this German coming in. That's brilliant. Smashing. Klasse. Richtig gut. A little bit like watching QI when Stephen Fry uses his German. That's brilliant.
Right, thank you everyone. Look forward to seeing you on Friday, maybe. Yeah, hope this was useful for you, and yeah, give it a
Just
try.
quickly switch our webcams on so that we can wave at you, unless you've got your pajamas on already, Michael. I don't know.
No, not yet.
Okay.
Tonight.
Yeah, I just said it, and now my mind's not playing up. Great. I'll try anyway. Oh dear, 4,000 for the minute. Can you still hear me? At least? No? That could be a... I think it's got a there. I should do it. Just to give you a quick wave. So I'll see you soon. Looking forward to seeing you in the other sessions. Good day, good night, goodbye. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye, everybody.